this lesson, we'll see the structural, functional, and aesthetic aspects in the evolution of Maderística. The idea now is to show you the evolution of Maderística from the first designs, quite simple, to the more detailed latest projects. It's almost 10 years of work that I have summarized in a few projects, of course. Those that there is a common element behind the work of those who create. The creative process is not a unique or inspirational act, like I get struck by lightning and I have an idea. It is the fruit of constant work and ideas that are thought out and improved on. In fact, it is a continuous and constant process. The first project I'm going to show, with the worst photo I'm going to show you, is the first piece we made. And we made it first in cardboard because when it comes to furniture that you're going to sit on, it is not enough that it has the correct height or that you fit in it. It has to be comfortable. So it was necessary to make a prototype in honeycomb cardboard so that we could check the angle we were giving it. The height, the size, all those details. The result does not differ much from the prototype. We did adjust the height, it's a little higher, and we modified the depth, but that was the idea. This is the set, very functional. In the other course I have already explained what this was about. For now, understand that structurally they are very simple. They're basically boxes with short legs, Enzo Marie style. They cannot be disassembled, and they are closely related to the techniques we use. We built them with a jigsaw and a hand screwdriver. We didn't even have a drill. The screws are driven in by hand, the heads are visible, a couple of screws at each corner. This is all cut with a jigsaw, but they all work, they were comfortable. We added a couple of aesthetic details, these curves and that angle, and they were indestructible. From the beginning, they met these three variables. Then this project came up, which is a shelf for my wife for her wool. It was the first piece we made commercially. I did it for her, and she told me, "It looks fantastic, let's sell it." And so started Maderística. Structurally, it works very well because these pieces are continuous. It's a crisscross wooden rack. The size of each diamond is 25 by 25. The 9 balls fit very well, and it measures exactly half a board. And this is 19.5 centimeters deep. The board module is 1/6 of a board. This is done with exactly half a plywood board. From the other half, we made this bookcase. We cannot further maximize the material. It is wonderful, except for the 25 centimeter limitation that works for 90% of books, but some stick out. We had these spaces up here that allow you to put more books. As a result of that, the next product that we put out in Maderística was this bookcase with the logic of diamonds, but we broke them. We opened them on one side to hold larger books, hence the aesthetic. They are a series of diamonds placed vertically, but open so as to accommodate more books. It is the best product we have ever made. It is the second we made, and it still sells well. Very quick to make at a very affordable price, and the aesthetic impact of having a corner with some books works flawlessly. It organizes, it decorates. Then we made a series of oddly shaped shelves. Much of the first line of furniture we made had to do with this outline, with irregular shapes. With this dynamic balance, with elements that stick out here, they are missing here, weighty elements here, and here it generates a balance, but not with symmetry. The same here. It is the same previous form, but more developed. At some point we did this, which is a console. It is very tidy on top, and then these untidy elements, which are these different sizes, compartments for different books, or whatever you want. Of this project, I really like the lower outline, but it is still functional on top, and this space between floor and furniture, which is quite unique, with this slightly irregular silhouette. From this shelf that we liked a lot, we made 2 more, which were the Capriccio and the Capriccio. The previous one was called Capriccio. From Capriccio, which is this one here, our first project was born. Not a piece of furniture, but a project of a slightly larger scope. This was around 2012, probably, and it was resolved based on the Capriccio shelf. We made a couple of modifications, lengthened some pieces, and we modified the top of this to use it as a desktop. We took off the shelf so as not to hit our knees, and it stayed like that. The interesting thing for me is that we managed to give a function to this irregular feature that we liked, and that was this. The outline relative to the floor, and how it works perfectly, and the books in the bottom cabinet tie up with the top one. This was not a lost space between shelves, it was a piece in itself. And it allowed this kind of wonderful thing that I thought was in tune with this first illustration. This storage structure with sparse elements and with this indeterminate space, neither open nor closed. It reminds me of that, and we continued to work on this idea. This shelf grew legs. We called it capriccio, and with the legs go these panels that structure it, sustaining horizontal stresses. We really like them. They maintain the idea of asymmetry, different legs with unique outline against the floor. We liked it so much that later, the Capriccio XL and XXL came out. And people liked it so much that later we added drawers. Then white color, it became a desk. It was filled with drawers, got taller, longer, and we kept making many variations of the same model. In the end, what we are developing is like a language that we can transform into a desk, sideboard, chest of drawers, etc. And we have kept some elements that make it recognizable. I already talked about this one. It is a project in which, with the simple detail or changing the layout, instead of like this, we put them like this, and we added the leg here. A unique piece of furniture was formed with different legs, which is something we also wanted. And that uses this space that we liked, the relationship with the floor. Well, here is a useful space, which is what you can put here. We kept this search in other projects, and this one is illustrative, where actually this space is the heart of the project. If you take that out, it is an ordinary sideboard. This project, nothing fancy, commissioned by a customer. It's not my language, but it did have something of this dynamic balance. We added some personal elements to give it the Maderística seal. And in this case, it was simply adding those details. And again, we wanted these books to be linked to the top. I found it interesting that it worked from below and also from the side. This is very architectural. A double height is generated in this compartment. It also works from the bottom up, and we generated the space. This piece does not have to rest there. They are small searches, small details that you add. I am working creatively on the commissions that I have. Along the same idea, we developed this. We look for a design applicable to other projects. They are shelves for books on the desk in an alcove, and they are connected to each other. Although they are independent, the bottom of this shelf supports the books on the shelf. This is totally flat, smooth, but you can put books because the top one has these tabs. The same happens here. Here we have greater height, a little less height, and this for small books. This is a simple bookcase where we play a bit with the back panes that give it different light and shade. When this becomes a library, it has to be contextualized. So elements inherent to the project appear, like the space for the TV, the cable lead-through. Here's a plug, so the router goes here. We see the connections. The distance from that lamp is connected to the distance to the curtain, the size of the sideboard, and especially in this project, the height of the library. I personally measured the elevator. Based on that, we made the library. The same with this project. The exercise is similar. Detect the elements, the sideboard, in this case the radiator. The proposal was also quite interesting and well adapted to that space. I want to show you a very simple desktop. The sketch that the customer sent us was this. We added legs here. I even added legs here, look. The panels also have legs. In order for this joint to be viable and not flimsy, this L, since it had a drawer, we put a panel under the drawer. Here we have two parallel panels. This means that this leg has all this surface for doweling and all this surface for doweling. It strengthens it, but we hid it so as not to go off the sketch that the client wanted. The drawer is a different color. It is set back a bit, producing this shadow. So your eye reads that and you don't see that board. We are not lying, but the expression of the piece is that. We did the same here. We set the door back a little, we added legs here. And here is a batten, which is the one that solves this joint. It keeps this very long piece flat and allows for this leg to remain straight. Among my favorites is this Maderística desk. I think it is very representative of our project. It is actually panel-based. Structurally, it works so, not as slender elements, even though they look like it. For example, these legs here, it's actually almost one board. It has this point of support, this other point, this one, and this one, in addition to all this glued surface. It is built independently, as if it were a board, and it works as such. I left this open so that it could be read still as a slim element. I like that it looks a bit lighter. What you keep here can be seen a bit. Another element I really liked is that I tried to evoke those old drawers that had slanted panels. You grab them from below to open them, but I interpreted it differently. The front of my drawers is vertical. What is slanted is the cabinet, and you also open it from below. And this was not possible. I added a slit. Also here we see that the leg on the other side is actually false, and structurally it only works from there. But all this has support throughout, so it won't wobble. And we give storage space for folders or notebooks in that space. Here pencils and smaller things, and 2 storage spaces. A very simple desk with an independent structure. The top is a drawer and the legs are separate. They support each other, and I want to show you this cross piece. Originally I designed it with this batten there, but after the first 3 desks, we noticed that this batten was not necessary. You acquire experience. You must give it a try. You can't prototype everything. You have to jump in and bet that it won't wobble. One tends to cut with excess, and then you reduce the section as you gain experience. In this case, for example, this batten is necessary because the leg connects directly with the top. The batten allows this leg to be integral with the one behind. But the batten also gives us a slightly slimmer section.